The sun had passed its peak. Yet, the heat continued to rise, pressing down with suffocating weight, as Turul completed his barrier work. No respite followed. When the weary prisoner approached the empty cart, Thomas clambered aboard like a fattened boar onto a throne. As the group began to move, the giant sprawled across the center with the whip waving in lazy arcs through the hot air. He flicked it idly across the glistening back. Not to wound, but to amuse himself. Each snap landed with a petty sting, feeding his dull pleasure while thoughts of a steaming lunch. Turul's back flinched beneath the flicks, each sting small but sharp against sunburnt skin, stretched tight from strain. His muscles, broad and ridged with fatigue, rippled with each labored step, as he dragged the cart forward. The weight was lighter now, but his body continued to effort under the merciless glare of the sun. No rest. No food. Not a single drop of water. His throat burned, his stomach hollow, but still, he moved, pulling through dust and heat, like an animal trained for toil. At last, they reached the slave quarter, where the air smelled of smoke and boiling broth. Roka, with a sneer, stood waiting with a few others. Beside him, bustled a broad-hipped cook, loud and flushed with pride. She barked orders at the men carrying pots and trays, as if commanding a royal feast. Glancing around with a smirk, she raised her voice.
"Food's piping hot. But where's me table, eh? Can't serve stew in the air."
"Wait,"
the slave master replied. He had been the one who ordered the grub bench removed earlier that morning. With the labor group approaching, he stepped forward and raised his voice across the yard.
"Thomas, bring your slave over her."
With a lazy shove, Thomas pushed Turul off the cart, his heavy hand crashing into the rebel's shoulder, and sending him stumbling forward. The chains at his ankles rattled, as he staggered toward the wooden corner of the slave quarters. A rough, shaded spot, where laborers usually took their quick lunches. Roka stepped out from the shade, letting the sun catch the cruel glint in his eyes, his smirk deepening.
"Make him our table."
The giant seized his slave by the arm, hauled him forward, and halted short of the shade. He grabbed a fistful of blonde hair, and yanked the head back, jerking the worn body into motion. As the young man stumbled, he twisted his torso and forced him into a harsh backward arch. Thomas adjusted Turul like furniture, gripping his shoulder, shoving his hips, kicking at his legs, until the rebel's back was fully arched, chest up. Muscles already punished by the morning's labor, now strained under the full blaze of the sun. His body displayed, rigid, glistening, and ready. Roka smirked, proud of his own wicked idea.
"Table set. Drop the bowl."
The nearby slave, clutching the steaming bowl of soup, hesitated momentarily before stepping forward. Carefully, he approached the arched figure. Then, with quiet obedience, he placed the heavy earthenware bowl squarely on Turul's sculpted abdomen, the highest and flattest point of his strained frame. The clay radiated heat, its coarse underside biting into his scorched skin, compounding the burn with a fresh layer of silent torment. The washboard abs twitched beneath the weight, the muscles fully arched and stretched from the forced pose. His breath hitched, as the heat seeped deeper into the bare flesh. Every shallow inhale shifted the bowl slightly, sending fresh sparks of pain through the burn. The cook approached with practiced indifference, holding a long-handled ladle. She stirred the thick soup with a grunt, steam rising in curls as she scraped the bottom for heft, then filled a smaller bowl for Roka. Another slave stepped forward, carrying a flat wooden tray stacked with roasted meat, and a pair of large bread trenchers. As the cook took the tray from his hands, Roka stepped in, reaching out with thick fingers to pick the choicest cut for himself. Then the cook leaned down, and carefully set the meat-laden plate atop Turul's chest. His torso steeply arched, ribs visibly rising beneath the weight. The juices from the roasted meat trickled down over his sunburnt skin, mingling with the grime and sweat that coated his trembling frame.
"You've a good table today, Master Roka,"
she said with a chuckle.
"but too small for my bread."
She hoisted the paired trenchers in both hands, and mocked Turul's narrow chest.
No worry. Love.
Roka mumbled through a mouthful of meat. He took the bread trenchers from the cook, and crouched beside his new slave's head. Without a word, he slid the connecting handle across Turul's mouth, wedging it behind his teeth like a bit on a bridled mule.
There.
He muttered with a smirk, adjusting the angle so the two trays balanced evenly.
Come on, boys. Eat up. Slaves sweating hard, just to keep your lunch off the dirt.
He barked at the lounging soldiers.
Smells like heaven, this rebel meat.
One cackled.
My best lunch ever.
Another leaned in close, dangling a juicy strip of meat just inches from Turul's face. He let the scent linger, then slurped it with a loud smack. Turul lay motionless beneath the weight, but every breath was a battle. The smell of roasted meat and warm bread filled his nostrils, stabbing at the hollow pit in his gut. His mouth was bone dry, with no saliva left to swallow, only the sour taste of dust and iron. Each time the food was taken from him, the weight shifted. He had to tense his muscles, adjust his arch, and fight to keep steady. Hunger clawed at his insides, thirst scorched his throat, and yet, he knew with cruel certainty that he was the only one here who wouldn't eat. This lunch was for them. For him, only the smell.